This program has been paid for by Strather Academy, creating developers within our communities.
This is Wealth and Development with Herb Strather, and thank you for joining our television program today. Today, I'm with my main man. Him and I is going to kick back and exchange some ideas that we want you all to get and kind of read between the lines. You know what I'm talking about now. John, my main man, how you doing today,
Hey, Herb.
man?
Let me just say this, Herb. Last time we interviewed you on the Detroit and You show, so I want to say congratulations on your Wealth and Development show. Herb, and you have this amazing backdrop back here, man. You have a lot of projects. I know that people can't actually see all the projects up there, but I know I can look at Motor City right there and see that you worked on that, and that was, what, 100 million or what? That was almost $1 billion for you.
Motor City Casino was $1 billion.
It was $1 billion development. And there's one a little bit, Woodbridge Estates that's on there. And
Woodbridge was $107 million. It was the former Jeffries projects.
Oh, wow.
And John, when I was a little kid, I always thought I was going to come back and redevelop my community, you know? And it's very exciting to have done.
And you're doing it.
I'm doing it. And it is important that we leave a legacy, no matter how big or how small, for our family and our future and our finances. This equity in our community belongs to us. So Detroit, let's join forces and harness it together. And I'll be right back with you, and we're going to talk about exactly how we're going to do that.
All right, Herb, let's do it.
All right, my man.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help. You were probably gonna turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right.
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced house hunting. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
I'm only 17, but I know about investing. Believe in something, buy shares in it, watch it grow. So, what if you could invest in the future? The future of kids, like a stock. Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. I could be one of the first college graduates from my family, the first philanthropist from my neighborhood. And if I'm the first, then maybe there's a second and a third. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow. My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
We believe we have a real mission, John.
Yeah, we do. We really have to educate Detroiters, and that's why I signed up for this all along originally, because I saw that you were helping Detroiters. You know, I'm cause-based. I served the city of Detroit for, I think, 22, 24 years, somewhere in there. And ended up being their communications director, where I was able to serve the city and educate them on what's happening in the city, what's going on.
You've been educating all the time.
What I've been able to do is I've been able to follow great educators like city council members, past mayors, and yourself, and I've been able to show what they're doing and bring that to light so all the city could see.
Well, John, let me ask you a question. Now, you know, we don't have a planned script today. We're just going to roll it out and throw it out.
Talking.
And you know, we want to get you all involved, Detroiters. This is the really big thing. But John, just kind of looking at what's going on, how do you see what's going on in Detroit right now? You know, we're in a great transitional period, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a great transitional period.
period.
Probably the greatest transitional period of our lives.
Yeah, we are. You know, and Detroit has a rare opportunity, and what you've been pushing is, instead of Detroit being a spot of gentrification where people buy up and then only minorities can only afford in certain areas, what you want to do is you want to have it to be a melting pot.
A melting pot.
And Detroit has a rare ability, because we can't say we're starting from scratch, because Detroit has been great all along, but we're starting on a rebuild, and we could strategically strategically organized, and I don't want to use but people can strategically be moved or buy property in these great neighborhoods in Detroit and rebuild them together. I mean, we have this urban farming that's going on, and we have these great properties that's going on.
We have great properties. And you mentioned the key word, though, is melting pot. And what I think if we were able to achieve a melting pot, then we would have done a great thing. We would have done a very, very good thing for the history of our city, because in these transitional times, what is happening now will affect us 50 years from now, 100 years
100
from now.
years from now. You know, Councilmember Kwame Kenyatta said something a long time ago, and it's just stuck with me, and you've heard me maybe say this before, but he was talking about people having an equity stake, and Detroit is having an equity stake. And he said, you know, when you come to the table, you got to bring something to eat at the table in order to be taken seriously. And that's what you're teaching, that's what Strather Academy is teaching, is in order for people to be able to buy this real estate and have an equity stake. So when they come to the table, it's not just holding signs and saying, you know, we will overcome, which we will, you know, overcome, but it's also coming to say, hey, I'm writing checks and, you know, take me seriously.
Right, you know, in Detroit, that means that you have to invest in yourself. You have to invest in your children, you have to invest in your community. How many of you are willing to invest money in yourself to get a better education about how to achieve wealth, you know, for your family and your future, your finances forever? You understand? A lot of people fly into our city, John. They do these seminars, charge 30, 40, 50,000. They fly back out, and people have come to me, they can't. The people don't even know where Joseph Campbell Street is, yet Detroiters are paying them $30,000 and $40,000. This is another reason we created this, because if to learn about the opportunity going to cost $30,000 or $40,000, there's a lot of Detroiters cannot do that, don't have the money. They may have it, and then they pay the $30,000, $40,000, they got a big mortgage payment or something, or they got rid of their nest egg. And so we want to be able to make sure that we do something that is affordable. And this program, just listen to it. We're going to teach you weekly on the program. And those of you who want to get more engaged, then we'll invite you out to our
class.
To our class. If you're serious, you can come to our class. Just think about that for a minute.
Somebody must be hearing us and calling us about our class
somebody,
right
my
now.
phone is ringing right now, but we won't worry about the phone right now.
This is called live television.
This is called live television. John, I want to go back to the melting pot.
Well, let me say this, though. Just on that point, we'll go back to the melting pot, but somebody called me after they heard the Detroit News show, so, you know, and you have your own show right now. And they told me that they went to a Than Merrill, and I go ahead and say it, and they paid $40,000 or $50,000, but they said that I told them about your class and how they can learn and things like that, and they told me that they have to pay Than Merrill $1,000 a month right now. Now, it is ridiculous that somebody comes from out of town, and I got geeked up when I first heard the Than Merrill commercials, and somebody comes into town, you pay them all that money, then they pack up and leave, and then it's just kind of a web-based training that you get. Now, I'm not saying that the information in there isn't good and valuable, but a lot of people need somebody who's accountable.
$1,000 a month.
$1,000, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
But John, let's spend our time, if we could, and I'm very much not happy about that.
Right.
You understand? I think it's good that Detroiters want to take and learn.
It is.
We're suggesting that you, by joining them with Strather Academy, that you can take and get a better education, because we're dealing with issues that are advocacy issues. And everything doesn't come with a price tag, you understand? John, here's what my concern is. I want to deal specifically with the melting pot.
Okay.
You know, there's a $35 million community grant that the foundations all joined together. Right. And there are about 7 areas that are impacted. For example, you have the city limits on Grand River all the way to Greenfield. But the Greenfield just the commercial strip on Greenfield. The actual community stops at Grandmont Subdivision 1, which is like Asbury Park, somewhere around Asbury Park. But between Asbury Park and Greenfield, there's no pot of money there. So this would encourage millenniums maybe moving in one place but not really building that community. We stop in the middle of a community concerns me. Also, when we think about Russell Woods, there is a
Russell Woods
community that have been targeted. Now, we know the millenniums are moving over there, and that's fine, and I have no problem, but we want to get to a melting pot and encourage a wider area of development. For example, I would suggest that we cross Davison we would cross Dexter going east and go all the way up to Linwood, because there's a lot of wonderful homes in there that they've been hit much harder.
Right.
You understand what I mean?
Just
Russell,
just don't run out of gas right now.
just don't run out of gas going down the street.
No, just
so
playing.
we're suggesting.
I grew up over there.
So I want to come back here right after the break and discuss what we can do to bring about a melting pot. Stay tuned, because we want your input. What can we do to bring about a melting pot in our communities?
If you love them enough to crawl into a play place to get them to come down, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, how are you today?
Good.
I'm here to talk about how with technology you can make amazing worlds. Come with me. My team and I groomed the Halo world to life.
Is that you?
That is me. I wasn't a math genius and I knew nothing about coding. But you guys do. You guys have the power to change things.
I want your job.
I want you to have my job.
John, first of all, I think that Tamir is doing a good job of managing the resources. Now let's say that.
I agree.
Let's say that after our bankruptcy, there was a $1.5 billion put on the table, in cash and no debt. That made us the healthiest city in America. So immediately after bankruptcy, we became the most attractive place to invest. $1.5 billion in cash with no debt in our city. Now that's something. There's no mayor that I'm aware of in the history of my life have ever had that kind of opportunity. And it is important, and you see the roads being built and everything, and I got to say, boy, it is really something, and it's exciting to be living in these particular times. I think the most important thing to us, as Detroiters have been here a long time, is that we have a melting pot and still in the thick of things, and it's not too late for this. But we have to take and be able to proclaim and to talk to our legislators, and at least let the mayor know so they can weigh in about building out our communities other than just Woodward Corridor, Midtown, downtown. The Opportunity Zone, for example, never got to Grand River and Greenfield. You got to wonder, what commercial corner in Detroit would be so needy. You understand?
Yeah.
And it didn't even get there. You wonder what happened?
Well,
you understand? And where we got take a street like Moraine, I would say 1,200 area of Moraine, 1,200 down to maybe 10,000. That stretch there, you have to have about 5 or 6 apartment buildings that are modern and good looking, that are either vacant or they are partially vacant or they're boarded up and they're challenged. It's as if there's a struggle right now which way that community is going to go. I didn't see money targeted right there, and I am concerned. I am concerned if the money is targeted in communities that attract millenniums but does not promote a melting pot. And the only thing that I would like for the administration to do is just to push the money a little bit where it also attracts a melting pot. Now, having said that, some of the money, which is very, very good, half of it, as a matter of fact, is really going to preserve affordable housing, or to create affordable housing, and that would be in communities such as Marengo or wherever the housing development is located. I think the thing that we want to do is to make sure that we create the melting pot. Now, given that, there's something else. You know, like for example, one of the communities would be Bagley.
Bagley community.
Okay, so Bagley go all the way down to Wyoming and it stops.
And it's a beautiful community.
It's a beautiful community, but it doesn't go to Greg's. It doesn't go to, you know, you understand? In other words, it stops right there, and you see the activity, the dramatic price increase. So what does this mean, Detroit? In my opinion, John, what it means is Detroiters should buy up west of Wyoming just as fast as they can, because the area is going to come back.
And not only that, west of Wyoming, you have that area right over near Marygrove, where you have from Marygrove to U of D.
Well, no, that's east.
That's east.
That's east of Wyoming.
But that's an area that can't help but to go.
Well, that is what we're talking about.
Yeah, and
we're talking about. We're definitely. You want to be involved in that as much as possible, because the area is booming. But there's, I guess I'm saying, there's opportunity everywhere. You can buy into those areas that are booming right now to make sure that we get a melting pot. I mean, it was already mostly Detroiters living there, traditional Detroiters. So to have millenniums move in is a good and healthy thing.
It's
48206 is the booming spot right now. That's good and healthy.
Now, let me ask you this, Herb. So let me just jump straight to the point here. What do you say to Detroiters? Because we joked about, you know, Dexter over there and things like that, but Russell Woods is a great area, and then they have surrounding areas that are a little bit challenged right now, but are coming back.
Yes.
But what do you suggest about people who say, okay, I want to buy over there, but if I buy over there, my house may get broken into, especially if I'm fixing it up. Everything may get stolen out the house, the air, water heater, the pipes and things like that. I know you have something that you're working on as far as a building blocks at a time, and how important is that, and how can people do that? So they buy this house, but they got 5 other abandoned houses on the block. How can the neighborhood or people get together and actually?
Well, John, I'm glad you brought up building blocks, because we're going to be having a seminar for developers on May the 5th and 6th at Marygrove College, and we're going to talk about how we can safely accomplish what you just stated. How can we safely buy the block of Leslie, the blocks from Dexter to Linwood, for example, on a Leslie or Fullerton? Or Tyler Street. You know, how can we get involved and develop these areas that are between Dexter and Linwood?
Right.
Well, first of all, we like to attach to a area that's being totally developed, no matter where it's at, and that would be Russell Woods. And then we go across the street and we develop it. You have to do the entire block, not just one house. You may not. If you're buying and you're an investor, you might not buy that as a residence to live there. But I would not discourage that. But for sure, if we buy up the whole block, and that block will dramatically increase in value, and we can make an attractive proposition for people that want to live and acquire the properties from you, or who wants to just rent there and be there. Don't forget, that was one of our very, very, very first solid African American neighborhoods, right after really in the 60s. And there was a lot of very, very blue-blooded families lived there. Rosa Parks was over there, the Hood family. Many of them grew up over there. And this, you still have the grandmothers, you still have those people who live there, quite older now. But this is a good area, and we should definitely take and reinvest in it.
We're going to turn off that phone completely. So
I think so.
Right. I'm sure people.
And we'll be back with you in a minute.
Right
John.
after these messages, and I was going to say, I'm sure people at home thought that that was their phone, maybe buried in the sofa or something. That wasn't your phone. It's actually a phone here on the set. But we're going to take care of that. And so we'll get in when we come back. Herb, we'll get a little bit more into the block by block and how that.
We'll get into block by block, because you don't want to miss this. We want to show you how you can register.
All right. So
we'll be right back.
Testing. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer. designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands? Yes. You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly.
Lights out. Good night.
And put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Your girls have been with you through every moment of your life. They were with you when you felt unbreakable, and with you when you had your heart broken. They were with you when you shared your love with the world, and with you when she became your world. They're still with you right now. But how well do you know them?
Welcome back to Wealth and Development by Herb Strather with my main man here, John Hill. John, I'm just so excited about these times. You know, we have a very, very specific goal to make sure Detroiters get involved and we create a melting pot in our community. We also have a very specific goal of making sure Detroiters take advantage of the psychologically depressed prices in communities outside of the target areas, but are still very solid. And to encourage them on how we can take and redevelop the community in a safe way where they don't have to worry about people stealing, breaking in, and the like.
Now you were about to hit a point. Now one thing I wanted to say, the administration is doing some great things.
It is.
Yeah, and
the administration is doing good.
And there's a lot of things, knowing from working on the other side, there's a lot of things that both the legislative branch and the administrative branch has in the works and are doing that we might not know about. So some of these things we might be talking about, they are working on. But by the same token, there's nothing better than what you said about, you know, the administration could only do so much. It's up to Detroiters to do, and the legislative branch, it's up for Detroiters to step in, dig in with the bootstraps and buy up this property, buy up these blocks and turn around. And the great thing about that, now you have economic wealth in the city. So it's not only, government is only supposed to, it's a governmental branch. They're not in it to necessarily make, you know, large money like businesses are, but this is time for Detroiters to have their business and become their own businesses, which I know you teach people how to get LLCs, you teach people about real estate. So if you could talk a little bit about that, Herb.
Right, well, you know, mentioning LLCs and the like, the first thing we want to do is to establish a family LLC and so you can invest in, it's like a master LLC that you would own, and that can own other properties as you go along, and you can pass this on to your children, your grandchildren. You can even pass it on to kids that are not born. Your children that are born, what we call it is a skip generation. And we would invite you to come to Strather Academy. Call us at 313-444-9691. We are forming a separate entity, John, right now, and I think we're going to name it Former Company, Michigan.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. So
.com.
So I'm watching, right now I'm watching on TV, okay? And okay, LLC, I understand business, I understand owner of business, but what does business have to do with real estate?
Business,
you know, how do you, you know, and I know the answer, but I'm asking you.
Well, if you're an investor, of course, it is a business. This is probably the biggest business in the whole state of Michigan. And certainly in the city of Detroit, because we got $4 billion in depressed equity. Let's put it like this. We have over 100,000 parcels in Detroit that are vacant, that are currently not occupied, and they are depressed about $40,000 on the average per parcel. So that equates to $4 billion. That is enough to make 4,000 millionaires, 400 millionaires. Is that 400 or 4,000?
I'm not sure, Herb. You're the math guy, but let's say 4,000.
Let's say
I'm not sure.
We can get wealthy as a community. If it's not, you don't have to be a millionaire necessarily, John. If it's 4 billion, it would be 400.
400.
Because well, wait a minute. Hold on. A billion, each million, you need 100, so it is 400. 1,000 million make a billion.
Right.
So that's 4,000 millionaires. You got that straight.
So I was right.
You were right.
Okay.
4,000 millionaires. I went to Ellis College, the School of Less Knowledge.
Right.
4,000 millionaires. That's how much equity we have. Detroiters, let me put it like this. Why would we have people that is going to move into that is going to buy property that lives in Japan, come over here, buy property, and rent it back to us? Everybody got to say, well, those people in Detroit, they won't buy up their own property. Why is it that we're walking around nervous and scared about people moving in, buying up the real estate? And Detroiters are actually moving out of the central cities. We're moving off the waters. We're moving further away.
And then everybody is moving back into the city.
And everybody else is moving back
in
into the city. What's going to happen 20 years from now? Just think about how the city is going to look 20 years now. I encourage you, do not be abandoned the city going north. Let's stay here. Let's create a melting pot. And John, let's invite them to a class or something.
Absolutely. So you have classes on Monday, Herb.
We have classes on Monday, and I'm going to invite anyone that want to come to a class. Just call us, because we can only accommodate 3 or 4 guests, but we'll get you in certainly within a 30-day period. 313-444-9691. You are to call us and say, look, I heard about you and I want to join your class.
And Herb, if I could say something, I know we're wrapping up the show right now, but if I could say something, it's very important that people, if they have real estate in Detroit, that they hold on to it, and if they don't want to hold on to it, that they make a profit off of it and sell it and make a profit. We have a lot of homes too that are in foreclosure right now, and they may not be able to come up with the money, even though you help people, and I'm talking about tax foreclosure now. You help people who are going under foreclosure keep their homes, but don't let your home go. If you know that there's, and after actually they call that number that you just mentioned,
313-444-9691. If you're in trouble, you've lost your home, give us a call if your home is in foreclosure. The worst thing that can happen is that you don't keep your home and you don't get any equity. If you can't keep your home, at least you can get paid. You have a 6-month redemption period. Most of you who are in foreclosure will not even go down to watch your house being bidded on. Do you have any idea what those prices go for? Would you believe it? If I told you they went for 20 cents on the dollar? Well, call us at 313-444-9691, and we will help Detroiters stay in their home.
And one other thing, we're going to wrap this. I know we only have about 1 minute left to wrap this up. So, but what I want to say, Herb, is that there was a story called Acres Full of Diamonds, okay? Yes. And that Acres Full of Diamonds was where a gentleman was on search for diamonds. He looked all over, couldn't find them. He ended up selling his home, went on a quest in Africa to find those diamonds, ended up dying or committing suicide. It was one or the other. And the person that bought his farm actually had in his land, actually it was one of the biggest diamond mines in any find in Africa. We have our Acres Full of Diamonds right here in Detroit. So it's time that people get educated, learn, and look at Detroit. My brother told me something the other day. He said he's going to start looking at everything he does as a business investment.
Well, that's good. Well, John, let's invite him to the website too.
Yeah, so on the website, I know this because I work with her, but the website is www.stratheracademy.com, and you have all sorts of products on there.
We have all sorts of products. We have blogs you can read. We have videos you can look at. We have opportunities for you to invest in yourself, Detroiters. And you have opportunities to meet me and be part of our class and be part of the movement. So for us to save the equity for ourselves, our future, our family, and our fortunes.
All right, Herb. Thank you very much for inviting me out to your show.
And we'll see you next week. Wealth and Development, Herb Strather.
All right.
This program has been paid for by Strather Academy, creating developers within our communities.